Angel. Because I would have been like, how naive can you be?
Here we have the big news. Caitlin Clark has been named the Associated Press Female Athlete of the Year. Now, we know that envy is a normal human emotion. The problem, Angel, isn't that you're feeling envious, it's that you're not doing anything to address the situation. Instead, you're out there hosting marathon live streams on your so-called platform unabashedly, while Clark is. Angel Reese, were you even in this conversation? I can't believe she was anywhere, and I can't imagine that she, Asia, and Cheryl Swoops are all punching air. Everything is in shambles, and you're trying to spin it by saying that Clark's success is just white privilege and that her fans are racist. Wow, blaming the world for your problems isn't as impressive as you think it is. Maybe instead of drawing attention to both metaphorically and literally, you would do well to emulate Clark's playbook by working diligently, maintaining focus, and allowing your game to speak for itself, but it is evident that self-awareness is not your strong point. Look, it doesn't say anything about her being the best female basketball player of the year or anything. It's just that she was the best female athlete. Everyone knows about Simone Biles, but there are also those like Angel Reese, who reigns supreme as queen of taunting, maestro of theatrics, and the world's greatest ambassador of finger. Wagging tail as Caitlin Clark made her mark in women's basketball history books and Reese tried out for the next big TikTok moment, let's talk about how Angel Reese totally missed the mark when it came to what matters in sports skill, legacy, and not embarrassing yourself on a global stage. Reese, Angel, according to what you've claimed, in 2024, Caitlin Clark was not only the league leader in scoring with over 27 points per game, she also broke more than 60 records. This was her rookie season, and it was so impressive that even basketball purists probably had to double-check their numbers. She was also named Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year, which is a huge deal for the first WNBA player to win the award since its inception in 2019. Clark wasn't merely competent, she was. What on earth was Angel Reese doing, living out her fame from a championship game a year ago when her antics stole the show instead of celebrating the team's victory? Even Cheryl Swoops had to admit defeat at that point, but it's still remarkable that she became the first WNBA player to ever be named Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year. Stats weren't the only thing that Clark was brilliant at. Despite the fact that she brought the Indiana Fever, the very same team that hadn't even made the playoffs since 2016, back into the hunt. On her own, her games were essential observed TV, her arenas were always bustling with fans, and her impact went far beyond the basketball floor. At the same time, Forbes' 30 under 30 checks out comparisons to LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Probably the most significant thing Reese has done for basketball culture is serve as a walking, talking example of how not to be taken. It's almost poetic how Reese's NCAA championship antics feel like distant memory now, especially in light of Clark's achievements, which have completely outshone hers. If you search for Angel Reese on Twitter, you'll see people complaining about how bad she is as a basketball player. Sure, she gets a lot of her rebounds from teammates, but she's having a historic season just like Caitlin Clark is. I believe she deserves much more recognition than she's currently receiving. We need to stop comparing her to Caitlin Clark and recognize that it's part of the problem. People are doing what I said they would do. She, like Caitlin Clark, is enjoying a historic season. I think a lot of the animosity stems from the fact that Caitlin Clark is establishing records for assists and rebounding as a rookie, but those are two completely distinct things. If we're serious about finding a solution to Angel's excessive vitamin intake, we need to address both issues separately. Angel Reese had a solid collegiate run, averaging 23.4 points and 15.5 rebounds per game during LSU's championship season. But here's the thing, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are now linked, but Angel's game is drastically different from Caitlin's. If we can just stop comparing the two, I think more people will be able to appreciate Angel's strengths instead of defending Caitlin's. Issue her legacy isn't about the statistics, it's about that smug pointing, that finger waving, and that iconic taunt directed at Caitlin Clark. Reese ruined her big moment by making herself look like a sideshow act, and now everyone is watching Clark as the main attraction while Reese is stuck in that awkward post-credit scene that no one wanted. The truth is that controversy may be trendy for a day, but excellence is here to stay. Are you kidding me? She's the female athlete of the year, and the wokes will be. Utter chaos, there is an egregious difference between these two sportsmen. Without the need to wave phantom rings or wag her fingers, Clark allows her game to do the talking. Her numbers and honors speak for themselves. While Clark's brilliance becomes stronger with each passing day, Reese appears trapped in an endless cycle of trying to maintain her relevance with increasingly forced theatrics. It's almost terrible how Reese's viral moment has aged like milk left out in the sun. Praise be to God. And may we speak of the time when Angel Reese threw shade at Grace under pressure. Caitlin Clark maintained her composure, remained modest, and stunned the sports world with her performances, while Reese has prioritized building her brand over honing her game. It's like seeing someone adorn a house with gaudy exterior decorations but no foundation to support them. The internet went wild with this one, full of cruel memes, roasts, and comments. Comparisons evidently, popular opinion has shifted and is no longer on Reese's side. Sure, people enjoy a good clapback, but not when it compromises authenticity and skill. Thanks to his unparalleled talent and tireless work ethic, Clark has earned the respect of everyone. The over-the-top, imitative style of Reese's fame comes across as cheap and tacky. The hits continued rolling in, though, and Hollow was eventually hit. In an effort to rally around Reese's devoted followers shouted double. Clark's domination doesn't require justifying she earned her optics accolades, not handed them to her. Reese's arguments about standards and racial bias, on the other hand, fell flat. With 60 records broken in a single season, first-team All-WNBA selection, and fourth place in MVP voting, this is more than simply a championship, it's a reimagining of greatness. The truth is straightforward, but Reese's admirers may try to make it about prejudice. While looking at other people, Clark is the benchmark Ree. It seems like she's desperately clinging to controversy because she doesn't have anything else going for her as an athlete. When you bring up her college career, you're probably thinking about her impressive run from last year, her rookie year, to now the Women's College Tour, which I believe brought a lot of attention to the league. I'll compete in the men's Clark's debut season was really remarkable, so let's speak about it. Legendary, her game exemplifies dominance with her incredibly accurate three-point shots and court vision that rivals that of X-ray vision. Never before has women's basketball been in the spotlight as it is right now, and she's utilizing her fame to inspire others, particularly black women athletes. On and off the court, Caitlin Clark is a trailblazer, but Reese has been remarkably quiet about the whole thing. Even though Reese knows she can't compete with Clark's greatness, her recent quietness says it all. I think it's great for the league, not just for her. Everyone talked about how much attention she brought to the W this season, so for her to be named Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year is really great. However, we can't pretend that Reese hasn't tried to change the narrative. Released her podcast Without Hesitation, Angel, which seems less like an actual venture and more like a last-ditch effort to mitigate damage. No one remembers Reese for her latest publicity stunts or podcast. Instead, they remember the finger-wagging Clark. Reese doesn't need gimmicks. Her legacy is linked to her performances, humility, and capacity to elevate the game. There is nothing Reese can do to stay relevant. On the other hand, legacy is associated with a one-off viral occurrence that has become an internet joke because to someone with a weekly podcast called Unapologetically Angel, I would have thought she was incredibly innocent, but she's just 22 years old. And the truth is that the scrutiny she's endured is unbearable, heinous, repulsive, and incorrect. See, this isn't only about basketball statistics, it's about the definition of greatness. The Time Magazine honor bestowed to Caitlin Clark goes beyond mere recognition. It signifies her status as more than just an athlete. She is a generational talent, a pioneer, and a force to be reckoned with. In stark contrast, Reese, despite her own talents, finds herself ensnared by her own antics. The parallels between their destinies are almost Shakespearean. In contrast to Reese's entangled path in debate and theater, Clark's is based on humility and greatness. Rather than a crash course, it's more like attending a masterclass on handling success. Also, the things to avoid, everyone has an opinion on what transpired in that game because of Caitlin Clark. Even the rivalry has broader consequences. Clark is regarded for more than just her game. She has changed people with her grace. Legends like Michael Jordan and LeBron James are cited in the narrative of women's basketball. The disparity between the two isn't just large, it's a chasm. And Reese is unable to find a middle ground with a business that is founded on shaming and criticism. Canyon, and with the increasing number of compliments for Clark, Reese's importance appears to be dwindling at a rate no one had anticipated. It's time for Reese to step up her game and stop relying on theatrics if she wants to save her legacy. But we won't hold our breath for that. While she's preoccupied with plotting her next move, Reese has never been good at being subtle or self-aware. Wow, Clark is really making waves right now. While Reese was under the microscope of the NCAA, the spotlight is now on her. Sure, Reese is great, but Clark is generational. Now that everyone is praising Clark, Reese has to work harder to maintain her relevance in a story that obviously doesn't need her anymore. A legacy cannot be achieved with Angel Reese theatrics, even though they may garner headlines. As Caitlin Clark becomes a household name and takes women's basketball to new heights, you're left to wallow in the glory of your own little internet fame. It's time to jot down some notes because you're confined to the role of court jester in Clark's kingdom while she's busy constructing an empire.